And our risk and liability doesn't end when we finish that project and walk away. It doesn't, right? And so that's why it's so important to make sure that you have the proper margins associated with each dollar amount, and not sacrificing those margins to grow the top line, because for every dollar you grow, you inherit that much more liability, right?
Putting in a president at a Hook agency, a person who's going to be the CEO, and he just went to a mastermind, kind of like you guys go to RSRA?
Yeah, Adam Bensman, yeah.
Adam
Awesome,
Bensman's group. And he just got back and he's like, there was a couple CEOs there. And they're talking about, what good is it with profit if you weren't, I want a bigger piece of the pie. We're going to sacrifice profit for growth. And it's like, I've been there, dude. I've done that enough times. You know what I mean? I've done it for almost 10 years now. I've deferred gratification on the profit side. However, it's not healthy to keep doing that forever. That's lazy, actually. It's lazy. And you're saying you would never defer.
Top line.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. The top line is ego. Bottom line is where we make our money, right? A lot of guys want to say, oh, I did this amount of revenue. And when I start talking to them about that and I start asking probing questions, I realize that, if they're actually doing that, a lot of times guys, especially in the roofing industry, inflate their revenues. But are they doing it at the right margins? I say, how do you know what the right margins are? Well, there's tools out there. The tools that we use to compare ourselves, I use as a report card, is BizMiner, is BIZMINER. And then my accountant provides me a report by IBIS, and then it'll be 2023, 2024, 2025, whatever. Those two reports run parallel to one another.
And it's like benchmarking the industry and comparative. Right. Okay, comparing your net and gross to other people's net and gross.
That's right. And they do it, BizMiner does it, and so does IBS, on your particular marketplace. So for me, it'd be St. Louis, Missouri, right? And it'll do BizMiner. Well, you'll buy the reports based upon your revenue size. Okay. So they're really good benchmarks to give you an idea of where the industry is, right? And it's everything. It's anything and everything that you want to know as a business owner. They have it there. And
I think I have some of that. We have it's called Simple Numbers, and I like the book Simple Numbers, but there's also the business is called Simple Numbers that does, like, for agencies, they'll have like essentially a benchmarking session, but you're looking at like the 10 that we're willing to share, you know what I mean? And it's kind of a little higher than average, I think. The ones that are willing to share their financials, because it's a little embarrassing if it's not right? It's a little embarrassing to share your numbers if it's imperfect, which a lot of times people's are.
Join us January 5th through the 7th at Oklahoma City Convention Center for RoofCon 2026. It's going to be amazing. I hear there's somebody special that's going to be keynoting there. I'm going to be speaking. It's going to be really, really fun. And the best part is not even the speakers at events like this. Bringing the roofing industry together, talking about all the most cutting edge technologies and new methods, the best people in the industry sharing great information, as well as having community. That's what it's all about, having community and creating relationships. So join us. That's January 5th through the 7th at Oklahoma City Convention Center.
Yep. I shared my numbers with Adam Bensman and his team when they did a session on knowing your numbers, because I'm a big advocate of knowing your numbers. And I've yet to go to a conference where someone stood on stage and said, hey, these are my numbers. This is what I did. This was my revenue. This was my gross profit margin. This was my overhead. This was my net profit. And for me, when I run numbers, I run them to each line item as a percentage of revenue. So I know that when I run my P&Ls get sent to me monthly with balance sheets, statement of cash flows, all the necessary things that a business owner should have sent to them. we run a percentage to revenue because that way I can identify issues quickly because I know what the percentages should be to the revenue. And I know that because I study the other reports from BizMiner, from IBIS, right? I study those things and I know where they should be, and I'm able to pick out red flags quickly. I know what my percentage of marketing should be to my revenue, all that stuff. It all matters. And
What's
then I
that?
can
What's
sit
that
down.
percentage for you, by the way?
It should be 2 to 4%.
Okay.
Yeah. Some
And
companies are
I
higher.
think that might be a little lower because you're at 40% commercial.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, you're right. I think a lot. Yeah, I think that you're right.
Not telling that, like, that's great.
No.
Also, there's a little bit of an I think this is a fun topic. A little bit of an established business percentage in a growth business. Like if because you're kind of settling into that 20 million mark, right? You're like, you don't care about growing the top line as much. And I think that that's like a little bit different mode than if you're going from like 3 to 15 or whatever, right? There's like there's this range where you have to maybe spend a little bit more, even if it's just 5%.
Absolutely. And I think that you have the top 500 remodelers, I think it is. And those guys give you the actual percentage to revenue that they spend. Some of those guys are spending 10, 15%
Yeah.
on their leads every year to revenue. And that's great. It depends. You're absolutely right, Tim. It really depends upon your target market, the audience, etc. Because your cost per lead is significant. Your cost for customer acquisition can be significant.
Do you know cost per customer acquisition or cost per lead for your commercial division?
It's low because it's based upon relationships.
So it's all really okay. I got you.
And
then do you calculate in like the salary of your business development person as part of that average or no?
No. But
Okay,
I should maybe,
curious.
huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a thing both in commercial and so that, yes, you probably should, because I put all my salaries for marketing people. Like we have like 3 people on marketing at Hook now. It's like a 50-person company, but it's like just for marketing Hook, there's 3 people, and their salaries all go into the cost per lead average, what cost to acquire a customer averages. I think I was just doing some math with a very smart guy. It's always fun to get together with your buddies now at this point in our lives and do math together, right? Fun at parties, they say. But I was doing some math with a buddy of mine, and we were talking about the cost of door knockers. Do you have door knockers in your business?
We don't. We're actually looking to bring on a door knocking canvassing team. I have a guy that's going to head that, but it's getting a little cold right now. But I've never been a door knocker. I don't knock them, but I guess, my integrator seems to think that we're leaving about $7 to $9 million a year on the table by not.
You probably are.
Knockers, so.
I think it's really good. I'm a big fan. I just think for him, I walked him through the math of the cost, because some people think it's free. Like if that's your main business model, you're like, it's free until I get a deal. But you usually pay a higher commission, obviously, for self-generated stuff. So it's the cost is that difference, right? Comparatively to the cost of a lead. So if you're paying like 17% based on revenue, like let's just make it simple, 17% based on revenue, and for leads, you're giving people leads, it's like 10%, then that 7% is the difference. It's kind of expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Unless your market just like, but it's still a good thing to do. It's just recognizing that that's not free. That's what people get confused that it's free, but it's like, if you're paying a higher percentage, then you're paying them the money that you would have given to a lead generation service or marketing on Google or whatever it is.
Yeah. And there's a couple of different ways to break it down, whether you just pay the canvassers to create the leads. That's what I did when I was 15. I worked for a company in St. Louis where I went and knocked doors and generated leads for salesmen that I never even knew. And, I was just banking on the company being honest on whether or not they actually closed the deal or not. But, and So there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. I am in your camp. There's no such thing as a free door knocker.
Yeah.
So it's, but all of our guys are I'm sorry, our W-2. We don't have any 1099 guys anymore, with the exception of the installers.
Okay, talk to me about you're talking about the types of things that you would do now if you were to start over again. Like you talked about coatings in commercial, you talked about roof rejuvenation for residential, and maybe some opinions you have on the different products out there. I would love to hear any of that you're willing to share on the podcast here.
Yeah. All right. So again, like we talked about a little bit earlier, being in the roofing industry, we're risk managers, right? So every dollar has a certain amount of risk, has a certain amount of liability associated with it, right? And our risk and liability doesn't end when we finish that project and walk away. It doesn't, right? And so that's why it's so important to make sure that you have the proper margins associated with each dollar amount, and not sacrificing those margins to grow the top line, because for every dollar you grow, you inherit that much more liability, right? So for me, I step back at this stage in the game and I look at it and I go, okay, what are the areas that have the most profit in what we do, right? So for me, I have an operations manager. I'm not involved in the day-to-day business, okay? I look at areas, I say I run around the office and run around the company trying to find new profit centers, right? And that's what I do. And I love to do that. So I try to find 2 to 4 profit centers a year, right? On areas that even if we can just a little bit here, a little bit there, this year we were able to actually find a handful. So it's been good. But anyways, back to the risk. We're risk managers. We manage liability, and there are certain products, there's certain installations that carry a whole heck of a lot less risk, but still carry high margins. Okay, some of those are going to be gutter guards, right? Gutter guards are a really good example of a high margin line item that carries some good risk, but you're not ripping off a roof type risk, right? Roof rejuvenation. That right there is a growing industry. It's growing year over year. It's growing rapidly. The product works. The one that I'm involved with was Roof Rejuvenation USA. Products made by Sitka, right? Same company that makes Behr paints, Scott's Lawn. They're $10 billion chemical manufacturer. It's corn-based. The product, the shingles soak it. They soak it up. They're more pliable. They have granular retention. I mean, there's a wide variety of things that this product does. It's amazing, and they do it at a fraction of the price of a roof replacement. But the money that can be made on it is incredible, right? It's a very lucrative business, and people say, well, don't you shoot yourself in the foot? Don't you want to replace roofs? Absolutely, I want to replace roofs. And truth be told, every time I market that product, I generally always get a couple roof replacements from the calls that come in from it. So it's a good complement to my core business model, right? And
is this type of product good for every market or only storm markets?
Oh, I think the product, what it does, it's really depends upon the consumer, right? I like it in a retail market. I like it in a storm market, because let's say you have a storm and it rips off half the roof, and the insurance company only wants to pay for a portion of the roof, right? So here you go out, you replace the slope. Well, what about the other 75% of that roof that looks old? What do you do with that? Well, we can rejuvenate it. You can't do anything with it, but Tesson Roofing can rejuvenate it. And we can bring that roof to life. And we can bring that to match up more so than, the competition that just had to replace the one slope that sticks out like a sore thumb because they didn't have proper coverage, right? And
I did rejuvenate my roof a few years ago. And I liked the experience of I like tested the shingles afterwards, and it felt like before and after, and it felt much more pliable. And I also, I mean, as a homeowner, you get the value of like feeling like your roof is kind of clean and like um, almost like the color gets a little more rich.
Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
that experience feels pretty good. Like I'm not a shill for this or anything like that, but I as a homeowner, the experience felt pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to use it to complement your roofing business, this is the picture we paint. We go in, we check the roof out. If there's any repairs that are necessary, we make a proposal for the repairs. Then if the roof qualifies, we propose the roof rejuvenate, right? Then if they do the repair and the roof rejuvenate, then they qualify for a maintenance program. So now you have that customer that's engaged in a maintenance program. They're now in your ecosystem because eventually they're going to have to replace that roof, right? With this product, you come out, it's good for 0 to 5 years. You come out year 4.5, and you look at it, you say, okay, if it's treatable, you can treat it again. You can do it up to 3 times. But let's say it's not treatable. Now you say, look, this is where we're at. We always give someone an estimate to replace their roof when we rejuvenate, before we rejuvenate, because we want to show them the cost savings associated with it. But it also helps them prepare for what it can be down the line of knowing, hey, look, it's a minimum of $15,000 right now. You can probably figure it being somewhere in the 22 to 28 range in 5 years, right? So it gives them a good idea. They can start budgeting. And, you know, if you get hooked up with the right finance company, you can do 0% for 24 months. When you're dealing with the margins that we're dealing with, you finance the repair, the rejuvenation, the maintenance plan. I mean, they can get involved with it for $100 a month, 120. I mean, it's a 5-year peace of mind package, and that's what we call it.
So Rilla allows you to listen to it's an AI in your pocket, listens to the appointment. It's pretty crazy what it can do. It gives a script, gives everything they said, it breaks down some statistics for you.
Analyze talk ratio, interactivity, like how you and I are interacting back and forth, longest modeling, like all those
honestly,
things.
this is the shit that I most believe in AI.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Enhancing the
You're
user
about to put
experience.
math and data around something that used to be my magic skill.
Okay, talk to me about coatings, because you said like if I'm starting a roofing company, that commercial is not it's a little scarier if you don't have a war chest. So
Yeah, you gotta
you're
have
saying
that
like
war
you
chest
could get
accountable.
into coatings though, and it not be that crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you got to know what you're doing. You got to make sure.
Hey, by the way, this podcast is for entertainment purposes. This isn't a,
that's,
this isn't a
that's exactly right.
law. This isn't legal information or financial recommendations. This is for entertainment purposes.
That's right. Entertainment purposes only. It's just our opinions. So, I like coatings because coatings bring a good solution. You know, when qualifying, I got, you know, say that it has to qualify. Things have to qualify, assuming that they qualify.
So you're not just coating a roof that's already a sponge with a bunch of water
Right.
in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've like gotten to look at some of those roofs where it's literally just like 5 coats of like something, and there's just like it's literally every single coat, every single layer is soaked.
It's disheartening when you go and you start walking on the roof and it's spongy and there's water flying out everywhere. It's like, okay, somebody did you a major disservice here.
Yeah.
So assuming everything qualifies, assuming it's a right fit application, again, the liability is a lot less. The logistics that go into it are significantly less, right? And it's not to say it doesn't come with its own liabilities and challenges, but when you look at it and you're going to replace a roof, like we do some buildings downtown St. Louis, and they're 9, 10, 20 stories in the air, right? If we can put a wind ventilated system on there or coatings on there, that's what we're going to go with and propose right from the get-go, okay? Because we know the logistics associated with that are going to be a whole hell of a lot less than ripping it off, shutting down streets, coordinating dumpsters. It's a huge fiasco, right? But we can make it to where our margins are still good, if not better, right? So, you look at the coatings, you look at doing layovers when applicable. I'm a fan of wind ventilated systems. I love them. I think that when you put the right wind ventilated systems down, you can do the customer a huge service, right? So there's some good products out there for that. But again, these are lower liability installs in comparison to ripping off these roofs.
What's the average coatings job? Like, if you're like thinking about this from an average job perspective, what's like a reasonable average for coatings in your market?
As far as what price per
Like,
square?
just like, I guess, just average job size.
We
if
should
you
make
have
50
anything.
points, 60 points sometimes on coating jobs.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying margins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not to you, but it doesn't matter if it's 50K or 500K. If it's got 60 points on it, you're happy.
Right. Exactly.
Would you say, like, anything else that you'd say if you had to start over? Because I think that's kind of the vibe we're going with. I think rejuvenate. You definitely considered rejuvenation. You definitely considered coatings. If you had to start over, what else would you do differently in your business?
Man, I would start with maintenance programs, getting people into your ecosystem, and massaging that ecosystem on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Staying front of mind with that consumer is so important because
Why do you care about that?
Here's why I care. Because the cost associated with acquiring new customers are very high. And when you bring a customer into your ecosystem and they're happy, the closing ratio when you go back out to do business with them is significantly higher. It might be 75, 80 points or percentage to closing ratio, right? Whereas if you are bringing them in and they're new, they might be 25 to 35% closing ratios. So your customer acquisition costs are significantly less because you've already acquired that customer, right? You continue to stay front of mind with that customer, and that helps with them remembering who you are when times come for them to need your services, because someone's going to knock on their door when a storm comes through. And if they don't remember who the hell you are, then they're just going to listen to the guy in front of them or the guy.
What's a realistic? Let's dive into this maintenance programs thing for a second. Like, what have you seen work? Maybe it's not your. I'd love to hear yours too, but I'm like, any of the best ones you've seen. Like, what's like is it a yearly price for the customer? Is it a monthly price? Do you call it a tune-up? Do you call it what do you call it? Like, how do you actually do this in a roofing company?
So commercial is different than residential. On the commercial side, it's price per square foot. Okay.
No. Okay. So you're saying maintenance programs. You're talking about a little bit more on the commercial side. Is that what you're saying? I thought you were saying
commercial or residential. I think you can sell the consumer anything that adds value, that retains them and ties them down to your company. Right? So if you want to use the residential, for example, it's maybe you sell a roof and you give a 2-year maintenance program free of cost, right? One of the things you could do, here's one thing I would love to have revisited, is sell my own enhanced warranties and not a manufacturer enhanced warranty. Okay? So create my own value enhanced warranty, sell it, put a maintenance program in place for the customer to where we come out once a year, twice a year. It's up to you. Because this is why I tell people, I said, well, if they call you to do an inspection every year for storm damage, are you going to go out and do it for free? Yeah, of course you are. You always do. That's because we're roofers. We give everything away for free, right?
Yeah.
So you go out and you do it for free.
All the consulting around storm claims, which is supposedly something we're not supposed to do, but it's like literally a ridiculously expensive part of business that no one really talks about. Well, they talk about it, but we're not allowed to talk. It's such a weird place.
I hate it. My electrician friends that own electrical companies charge to show up. Plumbers, HVAC, pest control, everyone but the roofers. Everyone charges to show up,
Yeah.
but we don't. And,
Maybe they'd trust us more if we did. I don't know.
let's try it.
I feel
I
like
think
people
you can
do,
get
and then I
paid for
always feel like,
inspections.
what's that?
There are ways to get paid for inspections, for sure. We charge for inspections to realtors. We charge for reports. We do those things. One of the things I wish I would have put in place sooner that I did maybe 10 years ago was if on warranty claims, right? I can't tell you how many of my friends that own roofing companies that don't charge for warranty claims. Someone calls in, they say, hey, we have an issue, the roof's leaking. Okay, great. Well, we'll come out and take a look at it. We send them to our portal. They fill out the information, and we put on there, hey, if it's not on us, this is the cost associated with it. How are you going to pay us? And I can't tell you how many times, 70+% of the time, it's not on us. And we get paid a service fee to go out there. 10% of the time, the customer looks at it and goes, I better do a little bit more legwork before I agree to have them come out and look at this, because it might actually cost me money, right? So
Yeah.
you shrink that down, and then you take ownership of the things that are on you, because you can't roof as many roofs and not have leaks.
Yeah, give me. Yeah, exactly. There's gonna be leaks. Talk to me about this enhanced warranty program, and if you were selling it for yourself, not the manufacturer. So, like, what does that look like? What percentage of the total revenue does that need to be for it to actually like hold weight? Um,
So for
and
me, here's what I tell guys. So you want to put together an enhanced warranty system, put it together however you want. Charge $4, $6, $1 million a square, it doesn't matter, right? Take that money and put it into, this is not financial advice, okay? But what you could do in theory is you could take that money and if I go to you, Tim, and I sell you a enhanced warranty and I make $1,500 on it, right? And I go around and I sell those to my customers, right? Well, you need to take that money and set it aside to ensure that when there are warranties
yeah,
that come about, that you have
that's paid.
the money there to do it. So maybe in theory you put them in treasury bills, right? And make interest on those treasury bills that you don't have to pay salt on, right?
Yeah,
Which is
okay.
great. And then you're only paying on federal, and then you let it accumulate and accumulate and accumulate, and you continue to sell these things. And maybe in theory, you just take the interest that you're making from these and recognize that as your profit center.
Yeah.
For doing so as it goes.
How does it? Okay, can you give me a? I love getting really tactical here because I'm literally taking notes. This is all super smart. Enhanced warranty or maintenance programs, if you had to choose one, and which, how do they interact with each other?
Good question. Okay, so I think so. I don't want to choose one. Okay, because I think they both add value, and I think you could definitely take the money and deploy that in other areas with the maintenance programs as well, kind of like you would with the enhanced warranties. But what you're trying to do is you're just trying to get that customer into your ecosystem, keep them there, and make money on the things that historically we weren't making money on before, right? And when done right, you can make a lot more money, especially when you start parking that capital in other areas that maybe you hadn't thought about before, right? So it's ideal to do that. But I like the enhanced warranties because it's a good little shotgun blast of capital right up front, right? So you get that, you get to recognize that profit, go park it. rinse and repeat. The maintenance programs help keep that customer in your ecosystem again. So if you sell an enhanced warranty, you say, look, you have to have a maintenance program tied to it. So we're going to give you the first 5 years free of a maintenance program. And in order to keep your enhanced warranty intact, you have to have a maintenance program. So this enhanced warranty is good for 25 years. You get the first 5 years free. On year 6, you start having to pay a maintenance program. That's basically what it is in the commercial arena. When we sell NDL warranties, we own it as a contractor for the first 2 years. And then if the customer doesn't have a maintenance program in place, then really the manufacturer can void that warranty. So why aren't we carrying that over and that thought process over into the residential arena?
And then if you were to hypothetically have a price for that maintenance program going forward in year 6, what's like a price range?
Well, it depends upon what our costs are in year 6. I don't know, if our price per gallon of fuel is $10 a gallon, then it's going to be different than if it's $3 a gallon, right?
Are we talking like a couple $100 a year? Or are we talking like 500 a year?
I would say, I would say somewhere between $99 and $199 a year. But
I like it. And then you get out there once at least on that.
Yeah. So what you do is you send the customer a message, letting them know, hey, I'm Tim with J-Hook Roofing. I'm coming out on November 20th. I'll be out to take a look at things. Just a heads up. You go out there, you take your pictures, you put together a good little report for them, and then you send them the report. Hey, these are the things, everything looks good, or these are the areas of concern, or I was out there were some nail pops. I went ahead and addressed those for you. They're just part of your maintenance program. But these are some things you might want to consider. Your gutters are looking a little older. You could really use some gutter guard. You look for opportunities to upsell other services, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then you send them a $0 invoice, okay? So you've had 3 contacts with that person. And if you do that over 5 years, that's 15 contacts with that individual. Whereas your competition is probably just re-roofing that roof and walking away.
Wait, so you're doing 3 of these a year with them?
So you touch them 3 times. Let them know you're coming out. Yeah. So they see your name. They see J-Hook Roof. They see Tesson Roofing coming in. And it's just, they're you're front of mind at that point. And then I would encourage you to put them on something like to where you mail them on Thanksgiving, or you mail them, just say, hey, just something to stay in front of them. Because if you do that 3 to 4 times a year, even if it's concentrated and you're hitting them 3 times in 2 months, and then you hit them again 6 months later just to say front of mind, they're going to start to remember your name. Because they don't care about remembering their roofing company per se, right? I mean, how many times have you asked people, hey, well, who's your roofer? Did you like them? I can't remember. I got to ask my wife. I can't remember. Yeah, it was okay experience. They don't even remember who did it, and they just did it a month ago. Like, that happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, this is smart. I feel like all the other home services are doing stuff like this. It's funny. My wife has 2 pest control companies, maybe even 3, that are like on some kind of like quarterly thing. And it's so funny. It's like, I get that maybe we're not like super typical, but I think like it's low enough cost, whatever it is, that she's just like, I hate pests so much.
That's how my wife is.
Yeah, like, and then I think we have a mosquito one, so it's like 3. It's like, what are we doing out here? But it's like, rivers do not have anything like that. Have you, like, in RSRA and stuff like that, are there quite a few companies that are working on maintenance programs, or is that like rare?
I don't know how many, but I know Adam has some really good videos and trainings on how to create those maintenance programs. He has a lot of valuable videos on a lot of different things, but they do have some good starting points for people at the RSRA. Yeah. So if it's
Yeah, I'm just curious,
Definitely
like the
something I
other
would look at.
models that are out there, because I've been asking everyone about this, like the maintenance program, because I think, well, it's just the amount of exposure I've had to HVAC and plumbing companies now, because we are working with like 25 right now, and and 100 roofers, but like 25 HVAC and plumbing companies now, and like all of them have this, all of them swear by it, and all of them push it because basically the owning the customer thing and like actually getting them to know you. And the ability, how many calendars do I have up here? One second. Got my ding dings. Uh, the ability to know the customer and get them to know you and all that. So it's like I just am trying to get more, like if anyone wants to comment below, like models you've seen, like price per year. And then, because originally I was like, it should be monthly. But then people are like, no, you want it to bill one time a year. Otherwise they get kind of, like I don't like somebody with a $10, $50 a month thing is like a little bit more scrutiny. Every time you bill is another thing to scrutinize. It's like if you're not doing anything within that period, then they don't want to see a bill.
Right. They get exhausted
Yeah.
through all the monthly subscriptions. So it really just boils down to, can you add value to the dollar amount? And if you can add value to the dollar, then that's great. If you can't, then it's just another expense to them that they don't necessarily feel.
Yeah. Any final parting advice for folks if they were because you're saying if you were starting over, you'd do these things. Is there anything else that you'd say, like to somebody starting a roofing company, that you wish you would have known or done? Yeah.
Man, I didn't do it, but I see a lot of guys do this mass hiring, right? This mass hiring stuff, it's never been for me. I've built my company on good quality people, hiring leaders, not employees, people that you can trust, that you want to be around. If I don't want to be around you, then why do I want to hire you, right? I want to do business with people that I like, that I care about, that care about me, care about the end goal. So I would just say be very selective on who you hire, because if it's going to pay dividends at the end of the day on not just a monetary, but your happiness, quality of life, and do your best to know who you're hiring before you hire them.
That's a hard-earned lesson for a lot of people. I think it's not as big of a deal if you have all these sub-leaders that kind of buffer you from the consequences of your actions sometimes, like as people get a little bit bigger and they start doing that mass hiring thing a little bit more. But it's like every single one of those people is representing your company too. And like we all know in this industry that there's some things that people can do to pretty quickly ruin your reputation.
Yeah. We have 46 people at our organization, and every one of them that was hired was extremely well thought out.
Definitely tougher as you get bigger. Are you still in every interview?
Me? No.
Okay,
No.
I'm not anymore. So
No.
I was like, yeah, just curious.
No.
I met two people in the elevator this morning that were starting for our company, and I'm like,
Yeah,
and they
that's
didn't
a
even
little
know.
challenging, isn't it?
They didn't know who I was. They didn't even know I was the boss, which I think is fucking awesome, actually.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm
aware of them. I look at the personality tests that come in. I review those, look at the candidate, and just get feedback from the leadership team on them. So, and I trust the leadership team. They're fantastic.
Yeah, I think like I feel like my team scrutinizes enough. And if they don't, they feel the pain because the people that hire have to fire. So
right, exactly. That's exactly right.
That should be how it is. Like if you hire them and you're responsible, like you should be the one that has to have that conversation, because it's not fun, and it will never be fun.
Nope. I agree. I totally agree with you on that, Tim.
Well, thank you for being on, Brett. Where can people check you guys out?
You can go to tessonroofing.com. People can email me at brett@tessonroofing.com. Feel free to ask me anything. I love talking to other contractors about the business, and if there's anything I can do to help people, I always want to. So I have a lot of good friends out there that I've learned a lot from, and I'm happy to share any of the little bit of information that I do have.
Awesome. And the podcast is put on by hookagency.com. Hook Agency all over social media. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Follow Brett Tesson on Facebook and stuff like that, too. Support his company. Follow him all over social. And keep rooting on the guests. We get better guests when we're nice to them. So thank you guys for watching and stuff. Thank you, Brett, for being on.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
If you truly believe in what you're doing and you want to be the best version of yourself and you want to build a great organization, there's no other place to do that besides the Roofing Academy.
They're so thorough with every detail of the website. Working with Hook, the design is probably 50x better than any other design I've ever had. Their team is super communicative, and I mean this genuinely. I'm happy to pay you guys to work with us. It's been a tremendous experience.